Zoax.net. An analysis of the Tuft of Flowers by Robert Frost. The first impression one gets when reading this poem is that it is a sweet poem about how everyone works together. It is an uplifting, joyful poem. This is the true nature of the poem. There is a tendency among many people to dismiss such exuberant poems as somehow trite and unsophisticated, but this one is extremely rich and well crafted. The poem is centered on the narrator, whose job is to turn the grass over so that it can dry after being cut earlier by the mower. The mower was there early in the morning while the grass was cold and wet with dew. Now the narrator is there to turn it over so that the grass can dry underneath in the warm sun. The mower and the narrator are there at different times, which causes the narrator to observe that they each work alone. The narrator finishes up with this thought in the fifth couplet: "As all must be, I said within my heart, whether they work together or apart." This line, "whether they work together or apart," is repeated at the end of the poem, where it is preceded by the line, "Men work together, I told them from the heart," showing the narrator's change of heart within the poem. This repeated line is the key to understanding the structure of the poem, as we will see. Looking at the structure of the poem, we see that it is written in rhymed couplets of iambic pentameter. This is a very standard form, and it indicates that the poem is serious, but not somber like a blank verse poem. The line layout on the page is somewhat odd and deliberate in that each couplet is separated by blank lines, so the poem appears to be a series of individual couplets. Why does Frost do this? There are two reasons. One is that the line spaces help to form the poem into clean rows that look like mowing lines. This could have been achieved by putting a blank line between each line, which brings us to the second reason. The couplets are together to illustrate the togetherness of the mower and the narrator amid the separateness of their work. So they work together on the same job, but apart from each other physically, as the poem indicates. The larger structure breaks the poem into 4 sections of 5 couplets each. The first 5 couplets explore the desolation of the cut grass and the loneliness of the narrator. Everything is gone. These lines conclude with the narrator saying that all men are alone, and end with the repeated line, whether they work together or apart. In the next section of 5 couplets, the narrator is distracted by the flight of a butterfly. The butterfly is a metaphor for the narrator's thoughts, which Frost indicates with mental words. So the butterfly is described as bewildered and having memories. The section concludes with the narrator's resignation to meaninglessness. I thought of questions that have no reply, and would have turned to toss the grass to dry. The next section continues with the butterfly and the narrator's thoughts, but his mood improves as he discovers the flowers that the mower has left behind. Here, Frost signals the change beautifully and subtly with the repetition of the word turned. But he turned first, and led my eye to look at a tall tuft of flowers beside a brook. This is the hinge of the poem where everything changes. The section finishes with a clever double meaning on the word lit that solidifies the symbolism of the butterfly as the narrator's thoughts. The butterfly and I had lit upon, nevertheless, a message from the dawn. The word lit can mean to alight or settle upon, as the butterfly did to the flower, or it can mean to happen upon an idea by chance, as the narrator does with his realization. The realization of the narrator is revealed in the 4th and final section. Men work together, I told them from the heart, whether they work together or apart. The language that Frost employs here tells us that he is speaking in universals. Phrases like men work together and as all must be indicate that he is making a general statement about humanity. We should see in the mower and the narrator not just 2 men, but rather the generations of men all working together. Generations may live at different times, but each one builds on the work of the previous generations, just as the narrator continues the work of the mower. In this, Frost is linking all of humanity into one continuous chain. The link is unintentional, as Frost explains in the poem with the lines, by leaving them to flourish not for us, nor yet to draw one thought of ours to him. So there is this universal, transcendent appreciation of beauty, and the things that we create are a gift to future generations, even if we do not intend it. There is a duality in the way we see the world. One can look at what is there, or one can look at what is missing in the same scene. Frost illustrates this in the first and last set of 5 couplets, which each terminate in the same line with vastly different outlooks. This duality is highlighted in the middle couplets, where the narrator is ready to toss aside the grass in resignation before he sees the tall tuft of flowers. In the next couplet, Frost reverses the order and binds the two views together tightly in a couplet of parallel lines. A leaping tongue of bloom the scythe had spared, beside a reedy brook the scythe had bared. There is a tendency of many to be pessimistic and to be drawn to pessimism. Frost was inclined to see the good in life, and often found himself running counter to prevailing intellectual currents in this regard. He explores that theme in depth in his longer poem, The Lesson for Today. In his very short poem, Dust of Snow, the idea is expressed succinctly. The way a crow shook down on me, the dust of snow from a hemlock tree, has given my heart a change of mood, and saved some part of a day I had rued. Here the dark foreboding symbolism of the crow and the hemlock tree are the source of something good, the light dusting of snow. Frost sees the light amid the darkness, and there is probably no better expression of this than in the Tuft of Flowers, where his turning of the grass becomes a turning of his mind, and the mower of the grass becomes the savior of the flowers.